15 years. It had taken that long to finally have the last word. 15 years of marriage. 15 years of relentless dedication to my career. 15 years of proving to myself and the world that I was far more capable than anyone had ever given me credit for. And yet, after all that time, I never expected my past to resurface so unexpectedly. Rachel and I arrived at the Grand Arcadia Hotel's ballroom, where Young Tech Corps was celebrating its 50th anniversary. As I adjusted my tie, a subconscious habit of self-assurance, Rachel stepped gracefully out of the car. Her champagne-colored dress shimmered under the golden entry lights, making her look effortlessly elegant. She was composed, unaware of the storm brewing just beyond those grand doors. Inside, the room buzzed with polished professionals, investors, executives, and industry leaders. Laughter, polite conversation, and the clinking of champagne glasses filled the space. I was just about to greet a senior board member when I heard a voice I hadn't thought about in years. A voice that once made me feel small. I turned, and there she was, Olivia. The last time I had seen her, she had walked out of our tiny apartment, leaving nothing behind but a bitter farewell and a smug sense of self-importance. Now, she stood before me, clad in a flawlessly tailored black ensemble, the epitome of sophistication. But her eyes, those hadn't changed. They still carried that same air of superiority. Beside her stood a man who looked like he had stepped straight out of a corporate magazine. Tall, impeccably groomed, and radiating self-importance. Without sparing me a glance, he handed Olivia a drink before finally acknowledging my presence. Olivia smirked, saying my name like it was a relic from a past she had long since discarded. "I can't believe you're here," she mused, amusement lacing her tone. Rachel, my unwavering pillar of support, sensed the tension instantly. She stood by my side, silent but steady, her fingers grazing mine in quiet reassurance. Olivia chuckled. "I assumed you'd still be working in some factory or trade job. I never expected to see you at an event like this. Unless, of course, you're someone's plus one, or maybe working the event." She still thought I was the same man she had left behind. The man beside her, her husband Nathan, finally spoke, his voice dripping with condescension. "It takes a lot of skill to succeed in a corporation like this. Not everyone is cut out for it." They were basking in their perceived superiority, certain I was still struggling to climb an impossible ladder. I let the moment stretch, allowing their arrogance to hang in the air before I finally spoke. "Nathan's unemployment begins tomorrow." Silence. The words hit like a thunderclap. Olivia's confident smirk wavered. Nathan's smug amusement vanished. "Excuse me," Olivia scoffed. "Michael, are you serious? Do you even understand what you're saying?" Nathan let out a short, disbelieving laugh. "This guy has jokes," he muttered. Rachel, already knowing the truth, simply smiled. I shrugged, adjusting my cufflinks. "I suppose tomorrow will be the first time we find out." For the first time that evening, Olivia was no longer in control of the conversation. And judging by the tension in Nathan's jaw, he knew it too. What they hadn't realized, what had never even crossed their minds, was that I wasn't the man they remembered. The journey had been long, grueling even, but every step had brought me here. And now, Olivia and Nathan were about to learn just how far I had come. I caught Olivia's hushed whisper. "He's bluffing." Before she could utter another word, the speakers crackled to life. "Ladies and gentlemen, it is our great honor to introduce the new CEO of Young Tech Corps, Michael Carter." Nathan froze. Olivia's face drained of color. Without acknowledging them, I turned on my heel and strode toward the stage. A wave of applause erupted, echoing through the grand ballroom as executives, investors, and industry leaders shifted their attention toward me. I adjusted my tie, every step deliberate, every movement exuding authority. Whispers followed, murmurs of admiration, astonishment, and understanding. But I never glanced back. I didn't need to. I could already imagine Olivia standing motionless, the facade of superiority she had carefully crafted now crumbling before her eyes. I could feel Nathan's breath hitch as reality sank in. He hadn't been speaking to just anyone. He hadn't been condescending to Olivia's ex. He had been addressing his employer, the man in charge. Reaching the podium, I adjusted the microphone, allowing silence to settle over the room before commanding their full attention. Good evening, everyone. My voice carried effortlessly across the vast ballroom. Thank you all for being here as we celebrate Young Tekka's 50th anniversary. A round of applause swept through the audience. I gave a small nod of acknowledgement before continuing. This company was built on innovation, resilience, and an unwavering belief that dedication and creativity could take us further than we ever imagined. For a fleeting moment, my eyes flicked toward Olivia and Nathan. They hadn't moved. Their expressions remained frozen, pale, stunned, speechless. I know this to be true, I continued, my voice unwavering, because I've lived it. A hush fell over the room. When I first stepped into this industry, I wasn't in an office wearing a suit. I was on the production floor, learning from the ground up, not just how to assemble a product, but how to build something greater. I noticed a few senior executives nodding, those who had been with Young Tech long enough to recognize my journey. They understood I wasn't just another executive in a designer suit. I had earned my place. I let the moment linger before delivering the final blow. And that is precisely why leadership must be taken seriously. I let my gaze sweep over the room. The values that define this company, integrity, respect, and an uncompromising commitment to excellence, must be upheld by everyone who represents it. A heavy silence settled over the hall. It was time for the final strike. Before we continue with tonight's celebration, I have one important announcement. I turned slightly, addressing the entire audience, though my words were meant for just one man. Starting tomorrow, the corporate strategy department will be under new leadership. A wave of gasps rippled through the crowd. A single name spread like wildfire across the room. Nathan Reynolds. His time was up. I caught sight of him stumbling backward, his fingers gripping the back of a chair, as if it were the only thing keeping him upright. His face had turned ghostly pale. Beside him, Olivia's mouth hung open, her usual poise shattered. Panic flickered in her eyes as she turned to Nathan, grasping for some sort of lifeline, some way to salvage what was left. But there was nothing. Nathan was done. The smug arrogance he carried all evening had vanished, replaced by a look of pure disbelief. His jaw tensed, fists clenched at his sides. He was trying, with everything he had, to keep his composure. Meanwhile, I remained steady, unshaken, because this was a revenge. This was justice. I smoothly transitioned back to my speech, addressing the crowd without missing a beat. I acknowledged my team, spoke about Young Tekka's bright future, and expressed gratitude for the people who had shaped the company into what it had become. Nathan wasn't part of that future. The moment I stepped off the stage, the whispers began. Executives exchanged knowing glances. Investors murmured amongst themselves. The entire atmosphere of the event had shifted. I had barely taken a sip of champagne before I sensed him storming toward me. The smug confidence he had once worn was gone, replaced by something far more desperate. "You can't do this," he hissed, voice low and unsteady. "I have a contract." I tilted my head, meeting his frantic gaze with a calm, unwavering stare. "You have nothing." Nathan blinked, caught off guard. He had expected anger, resistance, a fight. Instead, he was met with indifference. I continued, "Your contract is subject to review. You've mistreated employees, ignored policies, and consistently failed to meet key objectives. Shall I continue?" His nostrils flared. He had no defense. Then Olivia stepped in. "Michael," she purred, attempting a charming smile. "Let's be reasonable. We've known each other for years. Maybe we can work something out." I met her gaze, unimpressed. "I don't do business with people who despise me." Her smile wavered. Coolly, I added, "You made your choice a long time ago." For the first time that night, the mask she wore cracked. She had walked away from me years ago, certain that I would never amount to anything. And now, she was watching her mistake unfold in real time. Nathan's chest rose and fell rapidly as he scanned the room. He could feel it. People were watching, whispering. His downfall was happening right in front of them, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. "You think this makes you better than me?" he spat, bitterness dripping from every word. I smiled. "No, Nathan, I don't think." I turned and walked away, because men like him weren't worth my time. For years, Nathan had lived at the top, surrounded by sycophants who fed his ego, convincing him that his position made him untouchable. But power isn't about status. It's about vision, growth, leadership. And Nathan had done none of those things. As I continued shaking hands with investors and industry leaders, Nathan stood frozen in the center of the ballroom, drowning in the weight of his own public humiliation. By the time I left the event, Nathan Reynolds was no longer relevant. His career collapsed overnight. The same executives and investors he once flaunted no longer returned his calls. His lavish lifestyle crumbled, his luxury car sold, his high-rise apartment foreclosed. Because at the end of it all, Nathan had built nothing. And when everything was stripped away, he had nothing left. As for Olivia, she tried clinging to another wealthy man, but her reputation in business circles had become a joke. And me, I kept building, because I had never needed revenge. I had already won.